Hello, and welcome back to the Shakey Sonnet Show. I am Tootight Lautrec, the drag laureate of the Sonnetarium, and here we are once again in the Sonnetarium at the bottom of the down staircase in the permanently sequestered remainders section of an unnamed local library, which may or may not have a couple of lions couchant on the front steps looking frenzied and frazzled following the continual questionings of our narrator in Sonnets 149 and 150, which we'll be looking at today. Our poor narrator seems to be spitting against the wind with all of these rhetorical questions, but in 149 and 150 there's a significant change. He moves from the inward-looking questioning of 146 and 148, while still in the feverish frenzy of 147, to direct address of the beloved in 149 and 150. Now, the gap between the inward contemplations of 148 and the direct address of the beloved in 149 and 150 sets up a sort of tension, a kind of a narrative tension, if you will, an opening for readers to fill. Something seems to have happened between these two sonnets. They seem to have finally come face to face, or toe to toe, or something to something. And it could have been something, I imagine, as simple as the beloved walking into the room while he's talking in his frenzied way to himself and asking, "What exactly is your problem?" Let's look. He seems to have said something, and she seems to have said something back, and Sonnet 149 seems to be the result. Sonnet 149. Canst thou, O cruel, say I love thee not, when I against myself with thee partake? Do I not think on thee when I, forgot, am of myself all tyrant for thy sake? Who hateth thee that I do call my friend? On whom frown'st thou that I do fawn upon? Nay, if thou lourest on me, do I not spend revenge upon myself with present moan? What merit do I in my self-respect that is so proud thy service to despise, when all my best doth worship thy defect, commanded by the motion of thine eyes? But, love, hate on, for now I know thy mind. Those that can see thou lovest, and I am blind. So, I'll say right off, there are so many sexual innuendos in here, too many for me to really delineate. So I'll leave you to Stephen Booth to extract all the hints and echoes and suggestions of sexual innuendo. And this is his little book, and you can see that it's not that little, but you can find out all of the best sexy bits in there. But I will touch on a few as we go along. First quatrain. Canst thou, O cruel, say I love thee not when I against myself with thee partake? How can you say that I don't love you if I against myself with thee partake? I take your side against your enemies, or I partake of your body against myself. And it's that old joke, if I told you you had a nice body, would you hold it against me? It's that sort of thing. Of lines 3 and 4, Stephen Booth says, no modern logically directive punctuation can maintain all the syntaxes crushed together in these lines. Let's try to parse it a little bit. Do I not think on thee when I, forgot, am of myself all tyrant for thy sake? When I, forgot, could be when I, who am forgotten by you. Or it could be I, forgetful of myself, the frantic mad of Sonnet 147. Or it could be I forget about my own better interests and am a tyrant to myself for you. Or don't I forget about my own needs to torture myself for your benefit? There are all kinds of things going on here. But once again, I get a strong vibe of the dominatrix or the Venus in furs kind of thing going on. Onward to the second quatrain. And they're all pretty clear. Who hateth thee that I do call my friend? On whom frown'st thou that I do fawn upon? I hate all your enemies. There's no one that you hate that I don't hate too. I'm not nice to anybody that you don't like. And for lines 7 and 8, we'll go once again to Dear Dirty Stephen Booth, who for this, nay, if thou lourest on me, do I not spend revenge upon myself with present moan? Stephen Booth says about the word lourest, which means to frown upon or to scowl at. He connects it to the verb to lower oneself. Says Booth, lines 7 and 8 might be the product of an unsuccessful effort at a clever reference to a method of sexual intercourse in which the woman lowers herself upon the man. Well, I never, and I mean that. So, and after that, the man spends upon himself and moans. So, there you go. I have been there. On a more superficial and literal level, he's saying, if you frown upon me, don't I cry and moan in misery? Because he is a big wussy baby, we've found out. And she's the dominatrix Venus in furs sort of woman, and he takes his subservient position of crying and moaning. Then we get to the third quatrain. And he seems to be kind of angry because all this battering of questions. What merit do I in my self-respect that is so proud thy service to despise? In what way do I hold myself too proud to serve you, or to serve you sexually? When all my best doth worship thy defect, commanded by the motion of thine eyes. So you look and I do. You say jump and I say how high. When all my best doth worship thy defect, and all my best quality could be my penis, worship your defect or defect. On the surface, it could mean the lack of beauty or the weird beauty that this mistress seems to hold, or apparently defect was a way of saying what women lacked, which was a penis. So in other words, a vagina. So all of my best, my penis worships your defect, your vagina. I debase myself for you. I worship you, you defective creature, you. Which is really, quite the way to woo a woman, I hear. Couplet. But, love, hate on, for now I know thy mind. Those that can see thou lovest, and I am blind. So he's saying, okay, love, hate me if you want. Hate me now that I know how you feel. Those who see you for what you are the people you love, but you hate me because I'm blindly in love with you and I idolize you. That's why you hate me. And I can't help but thinking, yeah, that's right. So G.R. Ledger says of Sonnet 149's couplet, it would be difficult to imagine a conclusion more feeble. And I say, indeed. But let's go back and remember Sonnet 130, my mistress' eyes are nothing like the sun, where the narrator relishes the fact that my mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. This woman doesn't seem like a woman who wants to be idolized. She's too down to earth. She seems like a real woman who wants to be loved by a real man, impediments and all. Yes, hello, Sonnet 116. And I imagine her saying, before this sonnet, you don't love me. You idolize me. Get real, buddy. But since we're on the subject of impediments and Sonnet 116 and admitting impediments, G.R. Ledger again thinks that this Sonnet 150 covers the same ground as Sonnet 116 because they both contain language from the wedding service in the Book of Common Prayer, and in Sonnet 150's case, it's the just cause. And while I don't dispute his assumption, I don't necessarily fully embrace it either, but I will link it below for you to look at on your own, and you can decide for yourselves how closely this hews to the ground that Sonnet 116 treads. And you can see G.R. Ledger's argument for that. We'll just press right on to Sonnet 150. Sonnet 150. Oh, from what power hast thou this powerful might with insufficiency my heart to sway, to make me give the lie to my true sight, and swear that brightness doth not grace the day? Whence hast thou this becoming of things ill, that in the very refuse of thy deeds there is such strength and warrantise of skill, that in my mind thy worst all best exceeds? Who taught thee how to make me love thee more, the more I hear and see just cause of hate? Oh, though I love what others do abhor, with others thou shouldst not abhor my state. If thy unworthiness raised love in me, more worthy I to be beloved of thee. Okay, we start off with a bang, a big moaning oh. So we know we're in for an emotional ride with another frenzy of questions. From what power? From what power hast thou this powerful might with insufficiency my heart to sway? Insufficiency is her defects or your defects. And from what power there's sort of this implication of black magic, or at least something outside of nature. How can you make me love you against all reason? You make day look like night, night look like day, double, toil and trouble. And we're back again to what the eyes see in reality versus to the seeming, what is going on in his mind. How do you have such power over me that all your defects, your insufficiency, make me love you? On to the second quatrain. Whence hast thou this becoming of things ill? And so this becoming of things ill, how do you make bad things ill, seem good, becoming? So when someone looks becoming, they look very good. So how do you make these things look good when I know that they are bad? That in the very refuse of thy deeds, and refuse is garbage, a noun, but it suggests to me also the noun of refusal, or an implication of refusal. And now he's not talking about the beloved's looks or appearance, but about the beloved's deeds. So that seems pretty clear. And he's wondering, where do you get this power to make me think that even your worst deeds are better than the best deeds of others? On to the third quatrain. What merit do who taught thee how to make me love thee more? The more I hear and see just cause of hate. My senses tell me one thing, but some magic spell is coming over me, and someone, the devil, a witch, someone is maybe Cupid, is making me love you, and even though I see that I shouldn't. And so we're back to the very physical senses. Oh, though I love what others do abhor, with others thou shouldst not abhor my state. And here we have the sense, the echo of the word whore. I love what others do, a whore. And it seems to be many, many others. But also, you shouldn't hate me by consorting with others. With others, thou shouldst not abhor my state. So I confess, my dirty little mind did not catch that, but the editors that I've been studying did point that out to me, and it does make sense. Then we get to the couplet. If thy unworthiness raised love in me, more worthy I to be beloved of thee. What? You should be thankful I love you, you worthless whore, because you are worthless? and because you're worthless, you should take me back. P.S. By worthless, I mean hot, because your unworthiness raised love in me and makes me horny. And yes, that's in there. Who else is going to love you? Except, wait a minute, is that a line I see forming outside your bedroom? I think it might be. So it's a complicated little sonnet with a complicated twist at the end, but given Sonnet 149, hate on love, for now I know thy mind, and this horrible reasoning and the realization that she's unworthy of him, and it seems to me he's unworthy of her. This seems to be pushing this closer and closer to the edge of doom. So, do we have a gender in these sonnets? No. There's no indication of a gender in these sonnets. But they do seem to be strongly of a piece with Sonnet 145 onward to Sonnet 150. So they do carry the strong scent of a woman, if you will. Dramatically, most people agree that this could fit in with Antony and Cleopatra, particularly language-wise, because someone describes Cleopatra by saying that the vilest things become themselves in her. So if she's got some very bad quality, she makes them look good, which is exactly what's going on here. I say that also Macbeth, the Weird Sisters, this idea that there's some supernatural power going on here, but also A Midsummer Night's Dream, which there are lots of spells cast to make lovers of unlikely partners. So narratively, okay, our narrator is frantic mad from Sonnet 145 onward to 150. We go from dreamlike, disoriented, and quite delusional Sonnet 145 to the inward contemplation of 146 and 147 to the frantic questionings of 148 through 150. And the very presence of all of this questioning exemplifies the narrator's confusion. The world is all topsy-turvy, and we are watching someone slowly go crazy, and I find it quite sad. But when I take a step back and look at the sonnets in context of Sonnetarian conventions, yes, they do perform in some conventional ways. There's the pleading for pity or for notice from the beloved. There's unrequited love for the besotted lover. And there are extremes of misery as a result. But I find that the personal denigration of the beloved seems peculiar to Shakespeare. And this frantic, mad frenzy of these particular sonnets, particularly the last 5 or 6, almost feels to me like a purposeful send-up of previous sonneteers. With earlier sonnet cycles, and I confess I have not read all of them, but there are a few, Barnfield, Samuel Daniels, Delia, and particularly Petrarch. I have finished reading all of Petrarch's sonnets. I got this sense of a kind of creepy, stalkerish quality, especially from Petrarch, because there's this super unrequited love in Petrarch. Super because halfway through, the love interest, Laura, dies, and the rest of the sonnets are still bemoaning her, not only from afar, but from earth to the grave or to heaven, to the point where she becomes kind of synonymous with the Virgin Mary. But Shakespeare brings his beloved down from the Empyrean, not only down to earth, but actually into the bedroom and into the messy lives of people who live in the world, who interact with other people, and are subject to temptations and repulsions that enhance and interfere with all kinds of relationships. So where other sonneteers are kind of voyeurs from afar of an unattainable, ethereal seeming love object, Shakespeare's sonnets take as their subject living, breathing, face-to-face, toe-to-toe, use your imagination for the rest, intercourse between two, sometimes more, faulty people. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. So, Shakespeare's lover/narrator is so vivid and visceral and real seeming that one can't help but pity the fool. So here we are. Will the fever break? Join me next time when we look at Sonnets 151 and 152 to see where this seemingly doomed relationship may go. We're right about there, is what I'm thinking. Meanwhile, world, wonder, pay attention. It's all around you. I'm Tootight Lautrec. Until next time. Get back here.